Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy RJ Game News USA here, back today with another video. And today, I want to go over the review from The Guardian on Splatoon Raiders, because boy oh boy, the backlash against The Guardian is massive, and we got to talk about it. But first, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. So let's talk about this. So Splatoon Raiders got a 80 on Metacritic last I checked, and the worst review of the bunch is getting a lot of shit. They're not the only review getting a lot of shit, but they're definitely the review getting the most shit, and that's the Guardian's review, which was a 2 out of 5 stars, which equates to a 40 on Metacritic. Now, I've said this before, it seems like every time they're on the 5-star system, it seems like some reviewer like Eurogamer or The Guardian ends up giving a score that's just dog shit low when translated to Metacritic, and that's what happened here. So we're going to go read this review from The Guardian and see, is it fair or is it foul? Now, full transparency, I have no desire to play Splatoon Raiders. However, I viewed that game as, oh, this is probably a 7 out of 10 game, right? That's why I wasn't interested, because I seem to only want to buy at least 8 out of 10, if not 9 out of 10 games or higher when I buy games, because there's so many options. But this is a Nintendo product. I mean, just at first blush, I'm more interested in Splatoon Raiders than I was Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So, what does The Guardian have to say? Let's read the review and we'll discuss. We'll break it up and discuss. Splatoon is among Nintendo's most ingenious inventions of the last decade. A series of shooting games whose paint-splattered turf war nature means being bad at shooting is just as valuable as, if not more than so, being good. Wow, he worded that sentence retarded. It is also blessed with an abundance of personality, with vibrant characters, a richly imagined world, and a hipness that the competition can only dream of achieving. Unfortunately, Splatoon Raiders makes it difficult to remember all this. Wow, alright, so opening thesis already, we see the hostility here. We see somebody that likes the main Splatoon series, but isn't a fan of Splatoon Raiders. Now, me personally, I'll be honest, I have never been that into Splatoon. I'm happy Nintendo made a new IP. I'm happy that it's successful. I want Nintendo to do another IP this generation. I really do. So, I'm probably interested in Splatoon 4. I wasn't interested in Splatoon Raiders. But this guy already comes off as hostile towards Splatoon Raiders, that it even exists. And we're going to see this throughout the review. Continuing. The first spin-off in the ink-soaked franchise, Splatoon Raiders is advertised as a single-player focused entry in this primarily multiplayer series. While this is true enough, one can play through the entire game solo just fine. Raiders is clearly best enjoyed cooperatively with up to 3 others. Players start each mission on a hideout ship where they can upgrade their equipment and tweak their playstyle before heading out on a bite-sized, repeatable mission. And this structure is tailor-made for teaming up with friends or helping out strangers. The game lets you do either. As each person works towards creating their ultimate Squid Kid avatar of chaos. This almost feels like Nintendo's cooperative extraction shooter. Maybe? Sort of-ish? I don't know. I mean, the game's only $50 digital. Playing Splatoon Raiders solo feels like a lesser experience for this reason. Its levels are straightforwardly constructed to keep groups together. There is little of the puzzly rush of finding hidden depths with creative use of your tools. Instead, the fun is putting together your kit. Splatoon's weapons have always been goofy and playfully designed, but even better is learning how this entry complements them with a suite of augmentable gadgets. Has your options accrete and the game escalates in challenge, Raiders comes to life. I wouldn't, the thing is, I don't know why these reviewers even say anything nice. Because if you're giving a game a 4 out of 10, there's not a lot of nice things I'm going to say about it. So even saying all that right there sounds nicer than a 4 out of 10. But does it get darker? Let's see. Some may not get that far. Splatoon Raiders takes a long time to make it clear how completely the experience can change with the right kit. And while it offers a decent variety of challenges to tackle, players are meant to replay them. The minimal story, in which you are an unnamed mechanic stranded on a mysterious archipelago with the band deep cut returning from Splatoon 3, is not terribly compelling, which is surprising for a series with a history of casually revealing outrageous new details about its post-climate apocalypse world and its human cellular inhabitants. Splatoon is Nintendo's most offbeat, venturing forth in the direction few other game studios travel. And according to sales, audiences outside of the company's native Japan seem to struggle with how to receive it. In this context, Splatoon Raiders feels like a concession. Nintendo taking aside one of its rangier, peculiar creations and asking it to be a bit more normal. This is the biggest surprise about Splatoon Raiders. It's pedestrian. If you played one of dozens of modern cooperative action games, you played this. You have upgraded your gear and compared weapon stats and divine synergies between abilities in order to throw your character into a meat grinder over and over again. Watching overwhelming hordes eventually become trivial has your stats improve. Your arsenal more varied. There is only so much that Splatoon's ink-filled weaponry and charming DIY design sensibilities can do to elevate the experience, like its archipelago setting. Splatoon Raiders is far removed from what makes the main series so charming, and what's left here feels a bit too much like watching paint dry. And there it was. That's a 2 out of 5 star review here by The Guardian. Now, if this were an isolated incident, then fine. You gave one Nintendo game a 4 out of 10. That doesn't mean you get your credentials ripped. But that's not the only time I've seen The Guardian do shit like this. I'm going to explain a few other reviews The Guardian have done that are absolute dog crap. One thing is, they gave Forza Horizon 6 only an 80. Which, yikes. Like, that game deserves an even much higher score than that. Now, to show you how jaded they are, they gave Call of Duty Black Ops 7 an 80 as well. Remember, they're going to be in 20 increment points because they do 5-star ratings, so 4 out of 5 stars. They gave Kirby Air Raiders a 60, another Nintendo game. Another Nintendo game, Drag X Drive, they gave that a 40. Now, that game probably deserves a 6 out of 10, but still, they're rating that the same as Splatoon Raiders. They only gave Donkey Kong Bonanza an 80, another Nintendo game they underrated. It's interesting, though. They're a little inconsistent. I mean, they gave Mario Kart World a perfect score. They gave 007 First Light a perfect score. They gave Mixtape a 60. So, like, it's not completely all bad, but still. They only gave Claire Obscure Expedition 33 an 80. So again, this feels really inconsistent at times. Because the truth of the matter is, if you think that Claire Obscure is 20 points lower than 007 First Light, that's just a little... And 20 points lower than Mario Kart World, that's a little silly to me. Like, you could argue those games are all around the same. They got to fix up the 5-star system. I think that's part of it. But you look really dumb when you give a game like Blueprints, they gave a perfect score, 100, to Blueprints. You look really dumb when you do that, when that game kind of sucks. They gave Mean to the Hollower 100, which I thought sucked. And then they give games like Borderlands 4 a 60. Which that 60 is the same score they gave South of Midnight and Atomfall. Meanwhile, on here, Assassin's Creed Shadows has an 80, which is the same score that they gave Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. A lot of people like Resynced more than Shadows. It's just really odd. Then they give a game like 2 Point Museum a perfect 100, but Avowed gets a 60. Then they give Life is Strange Double Exposure, my actual favorite Life is Strange game, only a 60. And they give Marvel Rivals, which is a popular shooter game, a 60 as well, which is 14 points below the Metacritic score. Meanwhile, they give Call of Duty Black Ops 6 an 80, and Dragon Age Veilguard a 60, a whole 16 points below the Metacritic score. And a game like Neva gets a perfect 100. This is one of the more egregious ones. Silent Hill 2, which got an 86 on Metacritic, only got a 40 on The Guardian. The full 46 points lower than the Metacritic. That's very similar to what we just seen with Splatoon's review from The Guardian. Starfield's expansion Shattered Space only got a 40. The Metacritic wasn't great at a 58, but that's 18 points lower. Here's another Nintendo example. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom got a 60, but the Metacritic was an 85, a full 25 points lower. Meanwhile, The Plucky Squire, which got a lower Metacritic score than Echoes of Wisdom at an 83, got an 80 from the same publication, when most people will agree Echoes of Wisdom is the better game compared to The Plucky Squire. It's not all bad, as they give Astrobot 100 and Black Myth Wukong also 100. But again, their Nintendo bias reeks its ugly head, because they gave Luigi's Mansion 2 HD a 60. Meanwhile, the Metacritic was a 77, a full 17 points lower. And they actually gave Hellblade 2 a perfect 100, which I think that game was dog shit, to be completely honest. Their hundreds mean nothing when they give dog shit games hundreds and good games hundreds. And then they give games 40s and 60s that deserve higher. And again, their Nintendo bias is on display, because Princess Peach Showtime only got a 40, despite the fact the Metacritic was a 74, a full 34 points lower. Their Nintendo bias is insane. Alone in the Dark only got a 20 from The Guardian. Meanwhile, that was a 63 overall Metacritic, a full 43 points lower than the Metacritic average. They even gave the modern Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 an 80, a full 24 points higher than the Metacritic average of a 56. A miss there, constantly rating Call of Duties higher than they deserve, especially these modern ones. They only gave Super Mario Bros. Wonder an 80, which is 12 points below the Metacritic average. Not all bad though, because they did give Marvel Spider-Man 2 a 100, which I think is completely deserved. They only gave Mortal Kombat 1 a 60, and the Metacritic was an 83. And I thought that game was pretty good. They only gave Disney Illusion Island a 40, despite the fact the Metacritic was a 73, a full 33 points lower. They also gave Harmony: The Fall of Riviera a 40, which got a 75 overall Metacritic, a full 35 points lower. And then on Diablo 4, they only gave it a 60, despite the fact the Metacritic was an 86, a full 26 points lower. They consistently underrate games. Part of this must be the 5-star rating, but part of it is they really just need to lose their credential at this point, to be completely honest. You guys get the gist of it. They're absurd. They're ridiculous with some of these reviews. Especially against Nintendo. I think The Guardian might need its credential pulled. It's not just because it's Splatoon Raiders. Look at the history here. They're just consistently underrating games. Either ask them to or force them into a 10-point system. Maybe that would help. Maybe some of these games would get bumped up 10 points otherwise. I don't know what they're teaching over there at The Guardian or what their mindset is when they review games. There's no consistency between why they rate this game that way or that game this way, and it's really annoying. A lot of websites do that too. They don't have good consistency. They have a lot of people working at an organization, and they don't have a consistent way that they review things, which sucks. How do you know that if a Guardian gives a game a 60 that got 100, or no, it got a 90 on Metacritic, that it's not good? How do you know that when the Guardian gives 100 to a game that got like a 75 on Metacritic, that it's actually good? What's your determining factor here if you're reading the Guardian and actually figuring out what games you want to buy based on what they're saying? There is no determining factor. They're useless. All they do is weigh down the average of the Metacritic for most games, especially Nintendo games. It's time for them to go. Anyway, those are just my off-the-cuff thoughts. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. But for now, this is RJ signing out. Have a good one.